Treatoad barrier deck. The main idea is to use the ice barriers to get to level 4 monsters on the field. They're water type. Overlay, make Bahamut Shark. Use Bahamut Shark's effect to summon Treatoad. Bahamut Shark, after it uses his effect, it cannot attack that turn. So if you want to attack with him, because he used a 2600, attack with him first, deal some damage of course, right? And then in main phase to detach, and then bring out Treatoad, and then set your back row and whatnot, and end your turn. Typical stuff, right? So that's how you can attack in the same turn in which you want to use Bahamut Shark's effect. But if you use his effect before you attack, won't be able to attack with him. But you can attack with Treatoad. Since Treatoad wasn't properly exceed summoned, he was special summoned by Bahamut Shark's effect, you won't be able to call a haunt to him. But Treatoad does have the ability that when it goes from the field to the graveyard, it lets you return one water monster from your graveyard to hand. I typically target himself, unless I really need a water monster for my graveyard. I typically target himself to put him back in my extra deck, so that I can reuse him. Summon them the next turn with Bahamut. Because typically when you use Treatoad's ability, you're going to be tripling him, since he's the only aqua monster you'll have for his effect. So you tribute him, negate and destroy a card effect, whether it's a spell or trap or monster effect, and then you set that card on your side of field. So if you negate a monster, you'll set the monster on your side of field. As long as the monster actually went to the graveyard, if your monster was banished for its cost to activate. If your opponent banishes their monster as a cost for their effect, you won't get the monster. You'll negate the effect, but you won't get to set the monster on your side of field, because it will actually have to go to the graveyard for you to grab it and set it on your side of field. Spells and traps will be set to your side of the field. I haven't tried against Pendulum. That is the thing. I haven't tried this his effect against pendulums, so I wouldn't know how that would work out exactly. Since technically it is a monster, when it's activated you negate it. It was a spell, but since it is physically a monster, it more likely will go set face on your monster zone. So that's probably what will happen. But I haven't tried it, so I haven't seen how that plays out. One, you can't set a pendulum monster in your pendulum zone, so we know that's not going to be the case. And you're not setting a pendulum monster in your spell and trap zone, obviously, right? So more likely it'll go in your monster zone. But if it does go in your spell and trap zone, that'd be interesting, unique. But you'll probably go into your monster zone, which is where you will want it anyway. So you can use the pendulum monster to attack your opponent with, especially if it's a big monster like Odd Eyes Dragon or something like that. Moving on. So that's the basic thing. You want to bring out Treatoad, obviously, because he's pretty good. That gives you control, and also you can take your opponent's cards and monsters with it. So that's the next level of control, right? Is to not only prevent your opponent from being able to use something, but also use it against them, right? We have Strategist of the Ice Barrier, we have Dance Princess of the Ice Barrier, and we have Spellbreak of the Ice Barriers. Mainly because they are spellcasters, level 4 spellcaster Ice Barriers that will allow you to summon Gigabite. Gigabite, you can special summon it if you control a spellcaster type, which is why I'm only using the spellcaster Ice Barrier monsters, so I can use Gigabite, so that we can have a 2-card combo to exceed summon, right? Go straight into your Bahamut Shark or any other rank 4 exceed you want. So that's their main importance. Other than that, their individual effects are okay. You could use them, but they're mainly going to be used as exceed fodder. You're trying to get that Treatoad out. But Strategist of the Ice Barrier has the effect that once per turn you can send one Ice Barrier monster from your hand to the graveyard to draw a card. I've done this a couple times. Or with discard an Ice Barrier to draw, and it helps you thin out your deck, right? It helps you get through your deck faster. And I was able to draw into a instant fusion. So then I was able to go into, you know, Northern, you know, summon out Northern. Northern can bring back that ice barrier I sent to the graveyard, so then I can go into, you know, an exceed play right there. And moving on, Dance Princess of the Ice Barrier. Once per turn, if you control another face-up Ice Barrier monster, you can reveal any number of Ice Barrier monsters in your hand to select an equal number of set, spell, or trap cards your opponent controls. Return the selected set, spell, and trap cards your opponent controls to the hand. Obviously, it's, you know, pretty good effect. It's like a giant tune anyway. You know, it help you bounce your opponent's back roll to the hand, so you don't have to. That way, you don't run into like Mirror Force or Quick Mirror Force or anything of that nature, right? So getting rid of back roll is good, especially if you have Dance Princess and, let's say, Strategist or even Spellbreaker of the Ice Barrier on the field. Right? It doesn't even matter. You can even have 2 copies of her on the field. Right? And I haven't tried it, but you probably can use. I see, according to her effect, you can apply her effect more than once. The only thing is, in case they have 4 back row and you have only the 2 ice barriers, you can use the first Dance Princess, bounce 2 back, and then use the second Dance Princess, bounce 2 back, and then you can get rid of 4 cards that way. Now I haven't tried it, so I can't say for sure it will work, but according to the wording you can, because it doesn't say you can only use the effect once. It says once per turn you can use the effect. Now you can only use that effect once per that turn, so you can use both copies. Obviously, this is the way I'm looking at it. So I haven't tried it, but you probably can do it, and it'll be a lot of fun, right? It's a great way to clear your opponent's back row, and then go into an exceed play and go from there. Then we got Spellbreaker of the Ice Barrier. I wish the other ones had lower attacks, at least 1500, because you see this one has 1700. Dance Princess has 1700. Strategist has 1600. So it makes it so I can't add them back to my hand with Salvage. I wish I could, but can't not. But Breaker of the Ice Barrier, I can. She has 1200 attack, 2000 defense, which is not bad. 2000 defense is always useful, right? Once per turn, you can send 1 Ice Barrier monster from your hand to the graveyard. If you do, spell cards cannot be activated until the end of your next turn, as long as this card remains face on the field. This makes a pretty decent first turn play. Like, you summon her, right? Then you discard an Ice Barrier to trigger effect. Play Instant Fusion, right? Bring out Noden, use Noden to bring back the Ice Barrier you discarded. Exceed with the Ice Barrier you brought back with Noden, and then you can go into a Bahamut Shark, right? And then bring out Treatoad, set some back row in your turn. Typical back row will be red screen, because you want to use red screen to keep Spellbreaker onto the field, because she's only 1200, so your opponent can easily attack her. Obviously, right? So then they would be able to play spells that turn. You want to make it where she stays on the field, so that way they can't play spells until it's your turn, which is a good way of stopping pendulums, right? So you can see these have good effects. But I mainly use them for the fact they're spellcasters and level 4 water, but they do have good effects that if you use them, it does give you some type of advantage in the meta, right? Since a lot of people do it, pendulum summon. Gigabyte again is only so you can exceed play. He does have 1500 attacks, so you can add him. And for example, Spellbreaker of the Ice Barrier from your graveyard. And then right there you have the 2-card combos for a rank 4 exceed play. We have 10 goldfish, which, you know, it helps you get another level 4 or lower. Another level 4 monster on your side of the field, so you can exceed. So you can 10 goldfish and summon 10 goldfish, or 10 goldfish and summon a Gigabyte, or 10 goldfish and summon any of the Ice Barriers, obviously. And then, you know, go into a nice little rank 4 exceed play. So that's the whole idea, is get 2 level 4s on the field as fast as possible and exceed summon. Salvage, obviously, to grab 2 level 4 or lower. 2 water monsters with 1500 or less attack to your hand, so that way you can keep exceed summoning. Instant Fusion, typically that's mainly for your Nodin play, but you also have a Thousand Eyes restrict in case you just need some spot removal, in case you just need the ability to get rid of something. So there's an option, and then a generic Kanabola Warrior level 4, so that we can go into a generic rank 4 play. Of course, I would have 3 Nodins if Nodins wasn't limited to 1, or maybe 2 Nodins and a Thousand Eyes, but this is my fusion selection for my Thousand Eyes restrict. For my instant fusions. Twin Twister obviously helps you get rid of pendulum scales, helps you get rid of back row in general. MST, gotta keep getting rid of that back row, you know what I mean? You want to make your exceed plays, you don't want them to have a face down. Solemn Strike, Warning, Torrential, anything of that nature, stopping you from making your plays. Plus, if they have floodgates, you know anything like Vanity's Emptiness or Summon Limit or Kaiser Coliseum, anything of that nature, you want to get rid of them. So gotta have that back row hate. Solemn Strike, useful against pendulum summoning, useful against any monster that has effects, especially every devastating effect, very dangerous effect that could really hurt you. So you got the Solemn Strikes for that. Red screen for defense, stall for the win, right? Essentially, it's a draw engine. It's the way I look at it, the way I play it. I mainly use it as a draw engine. Plus, it's defense. Defense is always good. Wing Blast, depending on how you play, it can help you slow down your opponent, stall them a bit, because you use Wing Blast to take something on their side field and put it on top of the deck, which will make it where they have to draw that same card again and have to replay it, especially if it's a trap. Let's say they set a trap during the end phase, you Wing Blast that trap back to the top of the deck. So I will slow them down, because it's your turn, you make your play, then you end your turn, then it's their turn, they draw, they have to set that card again. It's not like they can immediately play that card, because it's more like it was a trap, right? So they have to reset it and then go from there. So it's a good way of slowing your opponent down, so that way you get advantage. It just gives you extra turn. Ain't nothing wrong with getting an extra turn, right? To try to win the game. Then of course, Wing Blast is useful against monsters or cards that just can't be destroyed, or you don't want them to get destroyed, like Gear Town or the Cosmo Town, or any or maybe even a Seal Warrior Cockroach you can't destroy with MST. You can use Wing Blast to get rid of it. Along with anything else, any monster that can't be destroyed by battle card effect, you can use this against that. Obviously, it's just a good card because it's generic. It works on everything, not just monsters. It works on spells and traps. Call the Haunted, so you can recycle your monsters. So you can go, into your rank 4 plays, especially if you want to recycle some stuff. Instant fusion. Remember, instant fusion does count as a proper fusion, so you can bring back Thousand Eyes restrict with Call of Haunted. So that's a strategy right there, where you can just stall and sit on Thousand Eyes and just stall for the win, right? Then we got Carbon, you could bring back, but not that big of a deal. Northern, of course, you Call of Haunted him back, use his effect when he's special summoned, and bring back any of your monsters, right? Specifically any of your level 4 monsters. That way you can exceed play the following turn and soul charge for a quick exceed play, especially if you want to do a double exceed play where you pay 4,000, bring back 4 level 4s, overlay them, make 2 Bahamut Sharks, detach from both of them, and then summon out 2 Treatoads, set some back row, end your turn. Now you have the ability to double negate. I've actually done that in the first turn in the game. I did it with instant fusion though, so let me show you right quick. A screenshot of what I did first turn. So first turn, obviously I paid 1,000, so that's why I have 7,000. 10 goldfish combo, boom boom boom, detach. So I normal summon 10 goldfish and a nice bear monster, overlaid, made Bahamut detach, brought out the first Treatoad. Then I used instant fusion for Northern, bring back the 10 goldfish, overlay, made another shark, detach the 10 goldfish to bring out another Treatoad. And as you can see, I have Twin Twister and red screen in my hand. I got instant fusion and 10 goldfish in the graveyard, and now I'm ready to have some fun. And I did beat the computer on my third turn, or second turn actually, because their turn was second, my turn was third, and I had the advantage because he playing Cosmos and I stole their ship, so that was pretty fun. Right, moving on. Oh yeah, because Treatoad effect doesn't target, so you know it works on the ships, just in case you're wondering. The effect doesn't target, that's why I can't take Tank Destroyer or Slip Rider. I mean, not Slip Rider, Forerunner. I could take Slip Rider, of course, but I meant the ones that can't be targeted. This doesn't target, so it can't take them, negate their effects and take them, so that's always great. Always great. Moving on. Just in case you don't know, once per turn during your standby phase, that's his first effect. Don't need to read that part. Once per turn during either player's turn, when an opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect, you can send one Aqua type monster from your hand or field to the graveyard and negate the activation. And if you do, destroy that card. Then you can set that destroyed card on your field. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one water monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. That's right. Since this deck doesn't really have water, doesn't have Aqua type monsters except for himself, I tribute him for the cost of his effect. Could you splash in some water monsters for the purpose of, not water, some aqua monsters for the purpose of using his effect without having to send them to the graveyard himself, which does reduce how many times you can negate. Yeah, you could, or you could play him in frogs, obviously, and that would give you all the negation you will want. But the idea is just you have the ability to summon them in this deck, so why not, right? It's kind of like a Cyber Dragon Infinity. And then we got number 37, Hope Woven Dragon Spider Shark. 2 level 4 water monsters. When any player's monster declares an attack, you can attach a material from this card. All monsters your opponent currently controls lose 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. When this card is destroyed by battle card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target one other monster in your graveyard and special summon it. You can only use this effect of him once per turn. Obviously, if you use if Nodin's in the graveyard and he dies, a battle card effect, you'll use his effect to bring back Nodin. Nodin can't be brought back because you instant fusion it, so it's proper summoning. You can bring him back. It has 2200 defense, which is pretty decent. It has 2000 attack, which is also decent, but you can bring him back in defense because 2200 defense is pretty good. And then use Nodin's effect when you special summon to bring back any level 4 lower monster from your graveyard. Any level 4 lower monster from your graveyard back onto your field, and their effects are negated. A good target would be 10 goldfish because he has 2000 defense. You can also bring back Spellbreaker of the Iceberg because she also has 2000 defense. More defense the better, right? And then next turn you can exceed summon into something else. We got 101 Silent Honors Arc. You can detach 2 materials from this card to target one special summon monster that your opponent controls that's in attack mode, and attach it to this card as XYZ material. You can only use this effect of 101 Silent Honor Arc once per turn. If this face-up card would be destroyed, you can by battle or card effect, you can detach one material from this card instead. I use it, defensively and offensively at the same time. 2100, can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. It's pretty decent, by the attaching materials. So if you keep the materials on, it could survive being destroyed twice by battle or card effect. So you have a nice little attacker that can survive Mirror Force and Dark Hole and Regeki and things of that nature. But the fact that it can steal one of your opponent's big special summon monsters and make it into a material is also good. Gets any problem out your way. The Gooster Ammo, detach. Once per turn, you can detach material and apply one of these 2 effects. Target 3 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into your deck, and then draw 1 card. Or target 1 non-effect monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. It says non-effect, not normal, so any monster that doesn't have an effect, like Carnival Knight doesn't have an effect, so you could bring this back if you wanted to. not really going to do that, but you could. What you're obviously going to do is you're going to use the first effect so you can recycle your monsters and draw. I wish this did any card, of course, because then you can recycle some of your spells and traps. But recycling your monsters, mainly your extra deck monsters, so you can, like your Bahamas Sharks, recycle them. You know, Treatoad will already recycle itself by its own effect, so it's not necessary to recycle it. Unless it is in the grave, then you can, but you won't need to. But the Bahamas, you'll definitely need to recycle them, so you can reuse them along with any other monsters that, you know, specifically any of the ones that you only have one copy of, like your Utopia. In case you went to Utopia the Lightning and it got warning or something, you might want to to emulate it back into your extra deck so you can summon it again later. Then we have number 85, Crazy Box. This is in case somebody has skill drain or anything similar to that. That way it could be a nice free 3,000 beater. You can also just exceed into it, just so you can have a nice 3,000 wall, you know, 3,000 to block for you, to stall you for a couple more turns until you can make a better plan, a better decision. You might even end up in a scenario where you might need to use his ability, and let's say you roll a 2, you get to draw a card, but if you roll a 1, you'll half your life points, which could suck, right? But if you have a 3, if you roll a 3, your opponent discards 1 card. That's decent, you know, making them lose cards. 4, negate the effects of 1 face-up card on the field until the end of this turn. A good target will be himself, so that way you can have a 3,000 that can attack. If you roll a 5, destroy 1 card on the field. You know, obviously you're going to destroy your opponent's stuff. And 6, destroy this card, which can suck, of course, because then you don't have a monster to do anything with. All the other effects you can deal with, you know. If you have your life, alright, you have your life, but at least you still have a 3,000. But if you get 6, that will suck. It's like, damn, lost my defense. Right? The Stardust Giant. It's a pretty good card. A good way of weakening your opponent's monsters. So you can just run them over one by one by one by one. Because once per turn you can detach a material from this card, reveal any number of water monsters in your hand, and place that many ice counters on face-up monsters on the field. Non-water monsters on the field lose 200 attack for each ice counter on the field. And since you'll probably end up doing this twice, that can weaken your opponent's monsters substantially. You can weaken them by a lot. You know, you can weaken them by 1,200 or more. So that's always good. Then we got Castel, Skyblaster, Musketeer. Obviously, detach 1 material, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, or 1 monster on the field, period. I mean, changes the face on the defense position. Then you got the secondary effect. If you know, you can detach 2 XYZ materials, then target 1 other face-up card on the field and shuffle it back into their owner's deck. And you can only use 1 of these effects once per turn. Or you can only use 1 effect of each per turn. Only once that turn. But obviously you typically use the secondary effect more often than not. It's useful against anything that can't be destroyed by battle card effect, or stuff you just don't want to destroy because it could give your opponent an advantage if you destroy it, so you rather spin it back into the deck. Plus, just spinning anything back into your opponent's deck, even if there's a card on the field that's not a problem. Let's say your opponent has a monster with 1,000 attack. You summon Castel, right? Instead of using the effect on that monster, you can use it on something else, something less dangerous. Let's say they have a mausoleum of the Emperor on the field or something. Just some field. They just have something on the field that is not that big of a problem. It's not hurting you or giving them an advantage in any way, but filling up their deck with more stuff, so that way their deck is not thinner, right? Make it bigger, bulkier, make it harder for them to draw the good stuff. So throwing their cards back into the deck definitely is a strategy, and it can hurt them from being able to get to the good stuff. Same as, you know, using Wing Blast. So obviously any effect that puts stuff back into your opponent's deck is a great effect, is an awesome effect. Moving on. Let's see. Double check. Take one of the face of conflict. Oh yeah, you can also use it on yourself. In case you want to recycle your Call of Haunteds. You know what I mean? You could do that. You can recycle your Call of Haunteds, or you can use it on one of your face-up monsters, like maybe a Bahamut Shark. Recycle it back into your extra deck in case you want to resummon it the next turn to bring out a Treatoad or whatever. You know, however way you want to use it. Anyway, number 39, Utopia. Requires 2 level 4 monsters. One of any player's monster declares an attack, you detach a material from this card, negate the attack. When this card is targeted for an attack, while it has no XYZ materials, destroy this card. Decent effect, of course, but you're not using them for that. When you summon them, you're really just trying to get straight to Utopia the Lightning. So you summon Utopia the Lightning using Utopia. Utopia the Lightnings has the effect that if this card battles your opponent's this card battles, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. Whether your opponent attack Utopia the Lightning or you attack with Utopia the Lightning, since Utopia the Lightning is involved in a battle, your opponent can't activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step, which is an advantage for you, of course. Once per chain during damage calculation in either player's turn, if this card attacks, if this card battles an opponent's monster, while this card has Utopia XYZ monster as an XYZ material, you can detach 2 XYZ materials from this card. This card's attack becomes 5,000 during the damage calculation only. Right. You could, of course, to give them more material, so that way you could use this effect twice, is when you take 2 level 4s to make Utopia, right? Then you can summon on top of Utopia Ray, or Utopia S-Ray, S39 Ray, or is it Chaos? I think I'm saying the wrong one. What's his name again? So long since I've seen him. Yeah, it is Utopia Ray. It's number Chaos 39 Utopia Ray. Yeah. So you summon him on top of Utopia, then summon Utopia the Lightning, and now you'll have the ability to be able to detach twice to get his effect. The first thing you want to do is detach one of the regular materials and one Utopia for the first time you do it. That way you still have a Utopia monster attached to the Lightning, so you can do his effect again, and then use that Utopia Ray with any of the material level 4 materials to get his effect the second time. That's if you're doing all that. And of course, Thousand Eyes restrict. Other monsters cannot change their battle positions or attack. Once per turn, you can equip one monster your opponent controls to this card, maximum one monster at a time. This card's attack and defense becomes the same as the equipped monsters. If this card would be destroyed by battle, the equipped monster is destroyed instead. So that is his effect. Carnival Warrior has no effect, it's just level 4 generic. Elder Entity Northern, doesn't matter what he requires, you're going to summon him with instant fusion. When this card is special summon, you can target one level 4 lower monster in your graveyard. Special summon, its effects are negated. Also banish it when this card leaves the field. But since you exceed summoning, both materials will end up in the graveyard. And as a backup strategy, in case you want to add more to this deck and tweak it, you can play, maybe take out an MST. If you're cool with it, maybe a salvage, but I would recommend an MST in order to add creature swaps, and then take out you could take out one Treatoad, but the fact that you can summon 2 Treatoads is why I have 2, so you can take something else out. Maybe the Crazy Box might not be that big of a deal for you to play, right? Since it's just such, or more likely the Snow Dust Giant. I think I recommend that one more. In order to add the Acid Golem, That way you can use Bahamut Shark to bring out Acid Golem, and then creature swap it to your opponent's side field. And now, while your opponent has Acid Golem, during their standby phase, they'll take 2,000. So that's guaranteed damage right there. That's a good way of finishing off your opponent. If he has 2,000 or less, you can just do that combo and then finish him off. So it'll be kind of like your cowboy, right? But also, your opponent can't special summon, so it'd be useful in case they pendulum summon or they synchro summon or they play Cosmos. Giving your opponent a 3,000 that cannot attack, deals them 2,000 every time it's their standby, and won't let them special summon can be a problem. Of course, they can tribute summon, but hey, the first thing you want is to deal them to 2,000, so that's top priority for that. The whole preventing from special summoning and whatnot is just a plus, but it's something to consider, something to make this deck a little more dangerous. And that's the end of the deck profile.